Hello, my wonderful friends. This is going to be interesting because I've been being hounded by a couple of trolls about how I am able to show pictures of light and with a cell phone. And here it is. Physicists turned cell phones, smartphones, into pocket cosmic ray detectors. This is back when we did it in 2014, and at about the same time I was going to the University of Geneva. And what happens is when these particles crash into these cosmic rays, crash into the Earth's atmosphere from space, coming from the sun, they create showers of secondary particles called muons. And we can see these. Now, I worked on electronics and computers my whole life, and I fully understand CMOS, complementary metal oxide silicates, and a semiconductor device, and everything runs on semiconductors now. Semiconductors means they don't fully let electricity go through like copper. They sort of obstruct it in certain ways where it creates light, or it creates heat, or it creates some other magnetic interaction. And in this case, it turns into glowy little pixels called what they call raster images. And these are little square blocks. You see them? Every one of these is a pixel. Well, what's a pixel? A pixel, when they say I got a 15 megapixel camera, well, what does that mean? Well, there's 15 million pixels per inch, per square inch. All right, so 15 million of these little things, and each one of them has its own ability to sense whatever energetic bounce comes into it, and it turns it into a color: red, green, blue. And then depending upon, and then it can change that color depending upon the intensity of those different colors that was hit with it. So you can go all the way from black to white basically per little raster image. Well, let me show you something what we did. But before I do that, I fully understand magnification. I use it all the time. I have this one here is a really good microscope for doing the mud fossils. I do the mud fossils basically. And then I have the other one over here, which is a very advanced microscope. I did some blood studies and some research on the Himalayan salts and the different red oxides, which are literally blood that come out of these rocks. And these rocks have blood in them. I look this up. I understand this stuff extremely well. And so does my little buddy here, Caesar, who's a goose. You see, there's his feathers. They don't look at this. They don't understand this either because they don't look at it. When the problem is that the people have an attitude. They, oh, that's it. That's my attitude. I don't want to see anything. Well, you don't want to see anything. Go somewhere else because I show the facts. So you saw the raster images. Here they are, right here. These are raster images. These are tiniest little. Here it was here. You see this? Let me get this out of the way. Where's that going? All right. This is the Venturi. We had both red and green light coming through at the same time. Laser light, pulsed red laser. The green is so energetic. You see it there? It pushed the red right out of the way. And this is a blow up of what we're seeing up in here. You see the little tiny red blurriness of tiny little bits, and the green. That is an actual photon. And they say, "Oh, you can't see a photon." Yes, we can, because the pixels are picking up the radiation and converting it to whatever it picks up on that one little spot. That's all it is. Here's what I picked up, and here it is as black. Here's what I picked up, here it is as white. Here's what I picked up, here it is as sort of blurry red. They're pixels. All right, so what did we use to capture all this stuff? This is the Samsung Galaxy S3, and that's the one Rod used. I have one right here. I use the same thing. I trust me, I'm not anything like Rod. Rod was the guy, and so I let him take 100% credit for this. It was considered the iPhone killer. It was just the best there was at this particular time. And this is the camera capability. It has 8 megapixel. That's a lot camera, similar to that of the Galaxy S2. Could take all of these pixel resolutions and record videos. And now here's the key. The camera software allows digital zooming up to 4 times and displays the current size, da da da. Now, they improved the camera software to include shutter lag and a burst shot. The burst shot captures up to 20 full resolution photos per row in quick succession. Now I think that has something to do with it. Another feature, best shot, and so forth. But anyway, let me show you what we did capture simply using this right here and a couple of pins in front of the laser to diffuse the light. Let's take a look at the actual setup. But I use all this stuff. I'm pretty well knowledgeable about cameras, and you know, I understand all of this stuff. I'm not bragging, it's just true. Alright, now we had several people working on this. I just didn't really work on this much, to be honest with you. I tried and it frustrated me. Rod spent 6-7 years doing this. I'm not kidding you. We started way back when these phones first came out. Now, this was Fabian's work. Now, you can see the light coming through the Venturi. And again, all that Venturi is something like this with the laser shining through that little slit. Well, where is he with his camera? He's right down at the slit. He's taking pictures right here, pip, 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 right into the slit. Right in the front of it, right on the side of it, right on the top of it, and they're looking at these particles. Now, what are these particles doing? Well, this one's interfering with that one. They're coming through the slit at the same time. But the key I want you to take away from this is, you see the size of these particles here? This is like as close up as you could possibly get, first of all. Then somehow he enhanced it. And you see, now we're into the extreme pixelization. Whoops. Well, can't even see it here. Hold on, let me get a different shot. Alright, well, these are the green ones. This is just green. Alright, now it's coming through and it's going every different direction because the light is spinning through here and trying, all the white ones are trying to get away from the other white ones. Now, we can see the pixelization here. We can see that, what is it, Raster image. The little squares. And that's all they are. These are literally pixels, and there's megapixels, so there's bazillions of them. Now, he also went a step further here, and he actually took those particles, which are, let's see, well, that's actually the particles coming at us. That's the tips of these Higgs fields. I don't know how he did it. He has some kind of processing him, and here's the photons themselves. Here's what those photons actually look like. Now, you saw them squared before, the green ones and the red ones and so forth, but somehow, well, Rod got them to this condition here, where we could see them really well. And then somehow, Fabian got them into their intensities, because this is intensity. That's more active and energetic. It's in the center, because the whole thing is glowing, coming forward and hitting these particles. Somehow he did this. I can't take any credit for this. That was these guys. And Dylan, he's even gone beyond that. Look at this. This is all field effects of, I believe it's the moon. I got to be honest with you, but the thing I take away from these is my electron flood theory, and everything is a dipole. You see that? That's a dipole. That's a dipole. They're all dipoles. It means they have a black and a white. You see, that's a dipole, and it's creating another balloon effect out here. And these are all fields intertwined with other fields. Everything affects each other magnetically, literally magnetically. These are all magnetic fields. And the reason we have this coming around like this, there's some kind of a polarity here that's creating these fields. And I can't take credit for understanding what it is, but I can I'm looking. That's all I can say. What are you going to do? Nobody knows about this stuff. There's nobody in the world understands this stuff. And CERN is looking for the exact same things, only we found them. The black ball and the white ball. You see it? There's the white ball separated from the black. I mean, yeah, the white ball turned into the shower through the venturi. And that's all this is right here. What happened here is just this right here. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. That's what created this. All right? And I didn't do this. This is Rod's work. Again, I'm not taking credit for any of this stuff. And then he took up here, and as he was shooting through the venturi, he's taking all kinds of pictures around, to the front, to the back, to the sides, and you could do this at home. This is only a couple $100 worth of stuff. And this is the result. And CERN, I think, spent probably more than twice that. And they have never gotten these. All they have is drawings. We have the actual particles. Let me show you, this is what kills me, is all I have been doing is being crushed by these guys that are looking for these things. I'm trying to make it understandable, and what I got from Fermi Lab, and you're not going to believe this is the truth. I showed them all this stuff, and they said, oh yeah, how could you take a picture of a muon? And I said, here's how we did it, and I explained it out, and then I was promptly blocked. I can't communicate with anybody in the government now. They don't want to hear from me because this blows them out of the water. I'm sorry, that's just the world we live in now. All right, we're going to get really, really deep. You are going to learn everything there is to know about physics by the time I'm done. There's two types, well, there's only really one type. It's dipoles, but it's dipole to dipole, push to shove. And this was back over 50 years ago. My conclusion was that the transfer of energy is from light to atomic vapor. All right, light. Well, right now, nobody knows what light is. Is it a wave? Is it a particle? They don't even know at Fermi Lab. I'm not kidding you. It is atomic vapor, and there is that atomic vapor. That is light. Now, we're going to look this over, but what I want to tell you another thing here is, what is a piezoelectric crystal? And how you see light when you take a piezoelectric crystal and you snap it, a little spark comes. You can't see it because it's shooting out. But everybody that has any lighters or ever saw lighters knows you snap this and a spark goes. When you run out of gas, all you see is a spark. Now, why does that happen? It happens because of the crystal structure of things. If I smack that with a hammer, it literally squirts an electron out. And where does the electron out? It goes to ground. And in the meantime, it jumps across. And when it jumps across, it interferes with the gases that are coming out of here that want to break apart. We're going to get so deep into this, it's going to blow your mind. I know this stuff very, very, very well. And my bottom line was there was nothing but dipoles. And this pushed me right out of physics. I said, these people are crazy. That guy wanted to give me a bad mark because I told him that. And we almost had, it was not a good outcome. Well, I had a good outcome. I got an A. Because I challenged him I said, I know more about it than you do. Because I did. I knew a lot more about it than he did. Because it was just new at that time. I was in the Army, Nike Hercules missiles. I came out, I went into physics, and this guy tried to destroy me. So, oh, no, you don't know anything about this. I said, yes, I do. There's no such thing as a positive nucleus and just tiny little electrons outside. It's impossible. Oh, no. I said, yeah, well, and then I said, okay, let's do this. Let's figure out the dipole molecular moment of, I forget what it was, some polar molecule. I said, you tell me where it is in Debbie's, and I'll tell you where it is in Debbie's, and we'll find out who's right. And he said, all right, I'll give you the A. Sometimes there's a perfect time and a place to make a point. This is what I confronted my professor on, is about centers of positive and negative influence, which are called dipole moments. Now, this is a non-polar molecule, CSE2, and this is a polar molecule, SCSE, which has got a center of positive and negativity. And now this one, PCl3, is a pyramidal shape. And here's the center of positive, Here's the center of negative, and there's the polar molecule center. Now, I've been talking about ligands and electrophiles and neutrophiles and nucleophilic invasion on my mud fossils. And here it is right here. PCl3, just what I just showed you, PCl3. It's an invader. All right? It's as an electrophile, all right, as a nucleophile, and as a ligand. Well, the electrophile and nucleophile means a replacing group and a leaving group. They do, apparently it does them both. Now, I haven't really looked at, I just saw this as I came up to look about the PCl3, which is what I confronted my professor on, and boom, there they show up. Because I've been talking about these for years now. This is the reason these things changed and became stable, because there's a electrophile which comes in, and a nucleophile, I think, is the leaving group, or one way or the other. And PCl3 as a ligand is a little pincher. It pinches and holds on to things and carries it through your body and drops them off depending upon its centers of positive and negative influence. Something else will come in and say, hey, I'm going to take over that center and move that guy out of the way. Just like when you take and you snap one of these crystals and it shoots out an electron. Basically the same thing. And I've been talking about this, and it's all of this stuff supports my mud fossil theory. It's amazing how intertwined everything is. You know, I've had a lot of time doing this, so it's not like I just started out yesterday. All right, as I said, these are light-emitting diodes, but if you put light into them, they emit electricity. If you put electricity into them, they emit light. Now, I'm attached to this on 2 volts DC. That's direct current, so I am picking up light hitting that solar cell and sending it to here. Now, if I cover up just the ambient light, you see that? 0. I bring it back, I got 0.014 volts. If I cover up the cell, I get 0. Now, what if I flooded that puppy with a something like that? Well, here's what happened. Watch. Boom. We're exceeding it, so now we got to go to the 20 volts, and we're up to 2.1 volts. Now, what about with the blue laser? Where do you see this? This blue laser, and I don't think this thing takes a whole lot of energy. Now watch what happens. Boom, 245. You see the glow of that thing? It's just staggering. Look at the glow. And what it's doing is it's absorbing all of those electrons and turning them into electricity. When it goes through that meter, it's just like driving a motor, just like driving a car or whatever. That meter says, here's the potential energy you have. Now, in voltage, that's not amperage. Amperage is a whole different story. Voltage means here's the power you can push with. Amperage means here's the quantity, here's the size of the hose that you're shooting it out. And it's literally almost exactly like water. I mean literally almost identical to water. All right? Boom. Look at that water. All right, one more time. I can't remember if I showed you or not. But this is the red laser. I'm going to try to hit this spot with the red laser, and I'm getting nothing. See, nothing. If I get right up close, right on top of it, I still got nothing. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing down there, but you see that right here? Nothing, 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 nothing. The funny thing is, if I hit it on the right angle, look at that, I got to see 0.1, 0.1. But if I hit it straight on, I get nothing. That's kind of interesting to me. Now, what about the blue? The blue is a whole different story. Watch up there. I think I showed you this before, but I got 2. Look at that thing glow. It's sucking up the electrons out of this laser. Now, this laser has a crystal inside of there that's being excited, and I think it's titanium oxide. I can't remember. But anyway, there's different crystals that vibrate out different intensities of light. Now this is red, and again, I use this red laser, and it did nothing. I can't do anything. It gives me no electricity. Well, I just get about a 0.001 if I hit it the right way, but you got to hit it on the side. Anyway, the red laser has no real power to speak of. You go to the green and then the blue. Now in the blue you really got some power. And then when you get into the white diode, because this is nothing more than an LED too. The same thing here. You see that? I'm over 2 volts with this. Same thing. Now this is just emitted light. That's all this is. This is just puppy light, to be honest with you. This hasn't got any real power to speak of. Now, this is the pixelization. Remember we talked about the pixels before? This is where these pixels are picking up more and more energy. So, and this is so far deep into magnification, it's unbelievable. I don't know how they did it so well. I really don't. And again, I said it 100,000 times, and I will say it 100,000 more. I take no credit for this superior photography, and that's what it is. And Rod spent, I mean, I can't even imagine how much time he spent. He did all the things I asked him to do, and he's not really into this at all as far as the atomic nature of it or any of that stuff. He's got other ideas going on. He's just a normal guy living a normal life, and it just happened that he did this to do the double slit experiment. He didn't realize what happened. He created a venturi instead of just regular slit, and he created a single slit instead of a double slit. And then I could see, because apparently this phone has some kind, he says it's a phone. I don't know. He says this is the one he uses all the time. He says he tried all kind of them, but this one here for some reason has the power that, and they must, it's got to have something to do with the metals that they have in the transition metals in the pixels, because that's all it is. Transition metals can absorb deep electron levels, and somehow it's getting this power, and they can see these things. Well, we can see them too. You see that? These are the gases in the air that have electrons, and this is smashing against them, so they glow as this push to shove. These push forward, these shove back. The push forwards, if they're coming strong, which they are, and the red is not very strong at all, but it's strong enough to force these out of the way, make them glow with basically the same intensity that this is glowing with. When you go to the green, same things happen. When you go to blue, the same things happen there. They have to push back basically equal to what they're being pushed by. Okay, this is the pulsed red laser. It's just starting to accelerate now because the venturi is down here, and this is the tip of the wave, the leading edge of the spear, so to speak. And it is concussing with everything that's in front of it because they have to get out of the way as this wave of magnetism flows through, driven by a particle. Now, let's see what happens when it hits the venturi. All right, before I show you the end result, here's the light coming in, and we wouldn't even see this until it starts to approach the venturi, and the venturi is over here. All right, so we start to see it, and it doesn't look anything like this, and it's wave after wave after wave. And again, this phone apparently takes all these shots at one time. It's like a, I forget what they call it, but it's like a shotgun approach, and it sees them all at once. Now, so we can see that particle making its transition into the venturi. From here, it turned to white on the top facing, and here it's white on the bottom facing, and that's because they charge up and flip. And I'll show you them charging, and actually I can show you the green flipping. Now, here they actually divide. You can see there's a black and a white particle. I hope you can see that. All right, and you see it starting to display here. Back there was nothing really to see. Now all of a sudden it's very apparent, it's very glowy, and it has spikes coming up and down, and then the next thing that happens is it hits the venturi, and at that point it just turns into a mess. So you saw the light accelerating, and again we can see this because of the glowiness and the pixelation, and then we drill down so deep that it's just unbelievable, the separation of these little bitty charges that come in, as I showed you on the semiconductor. If you took that little spot right there and put a million little dots in there, and that's what they have, it's like a million dots in something about that size, and obviously you're going to see this kind of clarity. And then when you drill way down into those millions, you get this. At some point they become blurry, yes, but somehow they had a way of enhancing them. I don't know how. And I can see that they're not playing games with them. This is serious. So this is that wave, and the particle is here. Now that particle is being sucked and dragged right out of that wave. So it's just like a jet fighter hitting the speed of sound and then exceeding the speed of sound, and then everything trying to catch up with the jet. And now the jet is way out here. And then all of a sudden it breaks and it turns black and white. And the black and white, the black balls go around and the white turns into a shower. Now, that is what is expected if you can do this, and we did it. And this is a single slit. So these are not interference patterns of a flappy wave and a flappy wave in a double slit, which they always said. Nobody could ever prove this. The reason it's splitting like this is white never wants to be next to another white. So they're going to set up stripes like this. Plus, the particle spins. I have a little representation. All right. We saw that little four banger, right? Just like that little four particle. What happens is it comes through the air like this. It spins. Whoops, we got an extra little electron attached. Yeah, so here we go. There might be one dragging around the back, who knows. So here comes the particle. And it goes, and it starts pulling itself really fast away from the magnetic wave. And it just starts exceeding the wave and hits here, and then these balls just fall apart. The blacks go around, and the whites turn into a shower. And if you could get down and look at what each one of these looks like, they look just like this. All right? A black and a white, and a black and a white. The black says, I can't get through that little tiny slit you guys made. And I said, well, go around. It's okay. And it goes around. The white says, I can get through there, and it squishes through there, and it comes out the other side. Now, the whites, they don't want to be next to each other. They are pushers and shovers. They say, get away from me. This says, come on over. Come on. Stay with me. Come on. Have a good time. We'll party all having, well, excellent time. We can get 1,839 of us together. We're going to become a proton. How about that? So they come and they pile up together and they make a proton. Well, we're working with photons, which is only one of these and one like that. If you're working with atoms like they are at CERN and Fermilab, you're working with 1,839 per proton, and they have billions that they're smashing together. All they're seeing is debris. We are seeing exactly the components accelerate, manifest, disassociate, fission, reassociate, fusion. In the midst, all we have is this. All we have is this. This is the sterile neutrinos they go around. Now let's look at that in relation to what CERN is looking to see, because it's basically identical. So remember, the black balls, these here, they can't get through. They go around, and you can see them. They're basically all the same size. There's some of them hidden behind, so you can just see them a little blurry, but basically they're the same size balls, and they want to be together. They'll be right on top of each other. They want everybody to be together. They are the togetherness balls. Gravity. And they're also the muons, because here they are. These are muon neutrinos, which is the black ones. And when they concuss in the air, just like us, we're doing the same thing. We're concussing over here. This is nothing more than a concussion of just like what they're doing, only they're doing it in some heavy water or whatnot. Now, boom, they smash. The muon just keeps going because it's the black ball. It never changes. It's never, ever going to change. And all they want to do is to be together. That causes gravity to happen. Now, the electron neutrino, totally different, a whole different species. It says, I do not want to be next to any of these other white guys. Just get them away from me. I don't want to be near them. And anytime they get close, they split apart. They push and they shove. You push me, I'll shove you. How about that, buddy? Yeah, how about this? Boom, bang, boom, bang, boom. And that's what happens is they push and shove. The black would say, come on. Let's just all ball together and we'll have a good time. Just everybody get along. Everything's going to be fine. And then they do. But then when you start injecting them with a whole bunch of little extra electrons, then they start getting shaky, and then you can bash them and smash them, and then you know, crush them and everything else. You can destroy these particles. Yes, you can. And that's what we just did. We split them into little bits and pieces, and that's it right there. That's fusion, and that's fission right here, split. Fusion right there. Nobody can deny that. We started with light. We didn't start with just something, gigantic particles like they're doing at CERN. And they wanted to do this. In 1978, they had a special meeting to try to figure out how they could use photons instead of protons. Because the protons just create garbage. It's just huge piles of garbage. And they dig through them and they say, ooh, look at that, there's one of these. Ooh, look at that, there's one of those. And all of a sudden they find one of these. Ooh, we hardly ever see these. Because they're not normal. They see 6 of these in about a year and they go crazy. We see 100 billion of them in a second. And that's just an average day at work. Okay, this is a fabulous video, how pixels work, what is a pixel, smartphone screen. Now, this is genius engineering. I hope you had a good time watching what I showed you today, and I hope you fully now understand. This is real. These are the pictures of these extremely energetic particles. You don't see them until they become extremely energetic, and they become extremely energetic when we put them through the Venturi.